Welcome to game number 3 of Nicov against st4rk of the HC3 Qualifiers Decider stage. Which map is that? This is High Tide. We're playing, we're watching Nicov. He's in the south of the map. Both players are playing with the Persians in the northwest of the map. No, that's actually pure west of the map. We got st4rk playing as the Persians as well, so mirror matchup here. And for everyone who doesn't know that map, it's fairly new to me as well. We have a huge sea or lake, well, let's call it sea in the north, with a lot of shallows there, so units can pass along there. This center island is crucial, 3 relics being positioned there. Generally, relic positions more in favor of st4rk. Let's see if that's going to come into play, and for the late game, of course, whoever is going to control this lake is going to take the game, so definitely an interesting concept for this map. So I'm expecting a lot of, in case the game goes that long, a lot of fighting here with fast fire ships. Let's check the tech tree of Persians. I'm quite sure they get fast fires. They don't get bracer though, as you can see here. Yeah, fast fires, maybe a couple galleons then as well, heavy demos, so we might actually even be in for a treat here if we see a couple of those heavy demo shots. So, well, weird lumber camp by Nicov. I'm not sure about his exploration, why he's deciding for that. He doesn't see too much of this woodline in general. So, I don't know. So, might make sense. The distance is not that long for the villagers to walk. But here would have made more sense, or potentially even here to save a couple steps. This is a weird one. Going for the boar. Nothing too special. He's not going for the super early hunt we sometimes see on water map. Especially on full water maps. This is a hybrid map, so it's played a little bit more differently. While st4rk still has 5 sheep remaining. So he did already eat 3, pushing in another deer, taking the boar now. It's later with his 4th villager on wood though, so his dock is going to be delayed. Well, not really, because he ventured out there fast, so I'm not sure why he's not just yet building it. Not the best positionings to kill those hunt units, to kill the boar and the deer. Going for a 5th on wood. So he's also not starting off with taking stragglers. Yeah, I'm expecting both players to grush, to play it as you would play on Mediterranean. If you're playing the map pool, where you go 20 villagers or 19 villagers feudal, and then double to triple dock fire galley war. I'm really curious to see if those 2 players are actually going to transition into normal galleys as well. Probably not, because land is going to come into importance as well. And what their transitions into Castle Age is going to be. If we see archery ranges in the late feudal age, like say after they can sustain all 3 or 2 docks, probably they are going to play 3 docks each. Just 1 range before going up as the 2nd building, so you don't have to make a market. Might be the way, but of course, with Persians, not sure if... Well, they obviously don't scale that well into late game, even though you want to make crossbows later on, since they only cost wood with that unique upgrade. So yeah, let's see. 2 fishing ships in action for st4rk. And he is camping that villager. He's not researching loom here. He's also not queuing it up. Okay, now he's going for it, since Nikov's scout was patrolling around fairly close to that. Well, dead even, almost dead even in terms of fishing ship count. Nicov with a slight lead. Why though? Wow, he's already on the way to feudal age. Went with 20 villagers, since Persians are advancing so incredibly fast. He might even reach feudal age before the 9-minute mark, which is really fast. st4rk also, his uptime almost completely on par, 1% behind, so neck on neck so far. 7 on this lumber camp. He will probably want to make another one soon. but going for the mining camp first. Interesting decision. And the dock not just yet coming down. And yeah, that's a grudge build order by Nicov as well. Of course, it can be dangerous if your opponent is playing something like men-at-arms or straight archers while you're grushing, that you're losing a lot at home, especially if you're not expecting that while he is producing from one dock. But then he is guaranteed to lose all those fishing ships, while you are not guaranteed to lose villagers or 4 villagers if you're doing a decent job. If you're doing a decent job, and you can produce even more fishing ships. So 2 fires coming out from both players. Nothing too unexpected there. Scout fight going on there. Nicov taking the better trade there, having more HP to his disposal. We'll have to go back though once Stark reaches that villager. He's also not in jeopardy of getting housed. Still, Nicov with 3 more HP. Wow, that was insane micro by him. Well, especially by Nicov, not sure if that was insane micro by the Stark as well, but look at that, the fire is popping out, and he's losing his scout as well. He did not click attack or patrol or whatever, or did just not have it on aggressive stance. It was just standing, waiting for Nicov to kill his scout. I don't think Stark should have lost this scout. So he is immediately throwing down a forward wall, because of course he still doesn't have a confirmation what Nicov is doing, and now he spots those 2 fires, so now he knows it's a full-on standard water fight. He is with the 3 docks. Let's see, Nicov, he's also playing 3 docks. And again, as in game 2, note how closely he built those 2 additional docks to Stark. So he wants to take the water fairly fast. But not sure about the purpose of this move in this particular game. Well, maybe it's just for the position, to deny all the paths for Stark to get to the center as early as possible, to prevent something like premature castle at some point, like mid castle age, early castle age, where it is not expected, some sort of all-in move, which usually is not being done in tournament games. But if you're getting caught off guard, those sort of moves still can cost you games. Looking better in my eyes for Nicov at the moment on the water. He's also producing a demo, Stark not having a single demo in the fight, so peculiar decision by both players to have produced so few demos yet. Did we even see a single demo by now this game? Not sure. So quite even KD as well. But look at that, Stark is actually taking the water for now. If he's not slacking production-wise, which he is, look at that, he only has 1 demo in the queue, now he has nothing in the queue, then the water has to be his, but his reinforcements are just being produced too slow. Like, those 2 fires could already have been halfway on the way. Of course, it's a little bit more tricky with Persians, since their docks are producing 25% faster to keep the production rolling. So I guess you have to go for 8, if not even 9 on gold to ensure that. 8 should be enough. Yeah, and now he gave Nicov the chance to come back on the water and even to get the small lead there. So both players walling up. Interesting decision that they went for the walls in the fuel age, so they didn't want to take even the slightest risk to lose water relatively early by over-investing into walls and then being behind a unit there. And we just missed a huge demo shot. Well, wasn't that big. When taking a look at the KD, it's still looking quite even. Just 1 more kill for Stark, but Stark is just not getting the numbers of units out for some reason. His production slacking quite a lot in this game. Nicov's production also not perfect. He also is only producing from 2 docks right now. Look at that, he's already heavily taking those berries. I'm not convinced about this build order which he's playing right now. One could have made an argument to take those deer earlier, then he needed a couple extra walls, but honestly I think that would have been worth it. Where are Stark's deer? Oh, right. Stark lured his deers earlier on, and look at that. See that food count? Stark is going to go to the castle age much earlier than Nicov will. He's almost already at those 800 food, and now he's even increasing the numbers on gold to 11. That's something you don't see all day in the feudal age, but with Persians, with those faster docks, well, if you went really fast with your food income, and I guess that's the way to go, as Stark is showcasing. So quite a crisp economy by him as we know him. That's one of his particular strengths. He's not known to be the fastest player out there, not known to have the best micro, as we can see in those water fights. Like, in my opinion, Stark should have won the water. Of course, it's easy to say from a spectator perspective, because those players have a lot more things to keep in mind. For example, to farm up, to just make sure they don't send too many villagers on wood, for example, so their castle age times will be crisp as well. So seems like it's going to be shortly before 20 minutes, the castle age, the time where Stark reaches castle age, while Nicov still didn't click up, so his economy quite messy. Maybe he didn't practice enough on this map, especially with this civilization. Well, this is still Stark's home map, so makes sense, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it has to be Stark's home map. If not, I will tell you in the next game if it was differently. Look at Nicov, even went for the quote-unquote aggressive market. I don't like this move. Should have made it defensively. Of course, easy to say. Probably not gonna matter too much, but gotta love this dock. Look at that, he's building it in the center, giving himself juicy fish economy, where the fish at his starting docks already ran out. Now, luckily for Stark, he's about to reach castle age. The problem is this dock is getting dangerously low HP wise, so the only thing he can do, and I love this by him, he's just producing demos from this dock, because demos, first of all, they move faster than fires, and second, they can just, against those big numbers of fires, do much more than a single fire, because the single fire, just by running away, it loses 1/3 of its HP. And that's not the case for the demo, of course, and it can do massive damage if Nicov is not paying attention. So, fire ship upgrade been finished by Stark. Why is he not taking this fight? 3v2. Maybe he's scared that something like a demo is going to come out of that dock. Numbers wise, he doesn't manage to catch up though, even though he's playing 4 docks as well. His production's lacking again. Look at that. He has the resources to keep those docks rolling, to keep producing from them, but he's not doing that. Maybe he's messing up with, he was messing up his control groups, doesn't have all of those in a group, or basically his production. Not sure what's going wrong for him, but still score-wise it's looking well. His fast uptime carried him big time in this game, and beautiful monastery by Nicov. Look at that, he's going to take those 3 relics right away, getting himself a gold income, which by just 1 monk of investment, that's 100 gold for an equal of like 6 villagers taking gold, which would be those relics in that case. So basically 3 villagers to the price of 1, if you take it that way. No extra town center by either of the players, and no land transition as well. I'm surprised we didn't see crossbows or knights or something. It's not too hard to break in, but that's probably how this map is getting played, taking that center and ignoring those parts of the maps slightly more, And now Stark is moving forward with this villager. So what is he planning to do? Well, Stark doesn't really know where Nikov's base is. He wants to get himself a couple of information. What happened there? Did Stark have a demo? No, but we saw huge losses for Nicov again. Maybe there was a bug going on, or my eyes just didn't catch that demo. Is also easily possible. Horse Collar coming down for Nicov. He went for a second town center before Horse Collar. It's also something interesting. I don't think it's a bad thing because, of course, you're missing out of some wood on your on some food on your farms and wood later on to replenish those farms. But those extra villagers you're producing earlier on by delaying the Horse Collar are helping you to compensate for those extra costs later on and give you more flexibility, especially on the water, since you need food and gold for that production. But Stark actually, villager count wise, looking better. Does he have Horse Collar? Yes, he does. But I don't think he went for that in the feudal age. Quite some time passed since then. Yeah, those are... Some of them might be still feudal farms. I think this... no. Probably not a feudal farm. But he's getting pushed back on the water again, which is really problematic. Like, on paper, Stark might be in a better position score-wise, also in terms of economy slightly. But in actuality, Nicov's position, even KD-wise, it's looking better for Stark. But in actuality, it's looking better for Nicov, in my opinion. Look at his farm economy, how quickly he went to those 20 farms. He just needs a few more, and then he can already start thinking about banking for Imperial Age. What's that? He's building a barracks in the center. Weird position for sure. Especially since this is not protecting all too much. Like, how does he want to move his spearmen if he is producing spearmen there all the way to his home? And which cavalry units is he afraid of venturing to the center? He has the water control, so he can just mass a lot of fires or war galleys. And then it's quite tough for anything Stark can send into the middle to do anything there. But Stark is trying to pile on the pressure, actually. Oh, a mangonel's coming dangerously close to that town center. Will Nicov spot that in time? He doesn't see it, and he's going to lose villagers on that. Well, one villager going down, but luckily he's reacting right away, so... well, the crisis control, not too bad by him. Just losing way less than almost any player out there would have lost. Any non-top player, of course. Well, ridiculous, so... 1 second, like 1-2 seconds after the mangonel shot, he already reacted, pulled everything back. Really well played by him. But score-wise, Stark is actually pulling ahead more and more. How is that? Let's see Nikov's reaction. He is going for his own mangonel defensively. What I don't like by Stark, that he's not following... Oh, never mind that. He's booming on 4 town centers. That can play out really well. The question is this going to be enough to take back control of the center? Now, oh, Nicov even making another dog stable in the center too. So, but where are those knights going to go? He's sending them all the way around. Mangonel going down to that knight. Well, knight going down to the spears, but that's a trade Nicov takes at any day of the week. And he's also slightly ahead in fishing ship count. But Stark is out booming with his 4 town centers. He's not really getting the farms out on the map fast enough, in my opinion, though. Of course, it's a relatively small thing, but against a player of Nikov's caliber, if he really wants a realistic chance to turn this around, even though I might speak too soon, though, but that's just my personal opinion. Even though he is ahead score-wise, position-wise, he should be behind, so then you can't afford even those small economic slacks. Also, like 11 idols. Something that happens to me frequently as well. Look at Nicov, it's also not looking too much better for him. There's of course a lot of things for those players to pay attention to. Nicov always has to be careful that he doesn't lose all his fires at the same time to a demo, and Stark does have those demos. But look at that, the castle is actually being denied. All those villagers went down. And yeah, but Stark, score-wise, is still in a decent position, but he does not have the access to the center, and eventually he will have to take it back. Now he waited for a very, very long time, was just busy macroing, I guess, slightly, even though I still see the villagers at the same position. I don't see too many new farms, but trying to slam down that castle. I didn't really pay too much attention on that moment, but you guys must have seen if he spammed right clicks there, and of course when you spam right clicks so your villagers don't move away from building, then you can't at the same time just change your screen up there to the water fight to take the water back. Oh, Nicov having all those 5 relics inside of this monastery. So that's an equivalent of at least like 10 villagers on gold. He does not even need a whole lot of villagers on gold. He's fairly out of gold at home actually, but still his income is decent just because of those relics. It's just so huge. This Dark still keeps piling on this pressure and is almost completely boomed out by now. I'm still not convinced about his composition though, playing only spears, mangonels, and yeah, only spears and mangonels and stuff on water. In my opinion, that should have been knights and camels and potentially even light cav as well with siege to pressure Nicov there if you want to pressure. But pressuring against Persians, especially in a Persian war, where you're not even forced to do eco damage most of the time since your economy is on par to his economy. It's always meh to go for a siege push against those double HP town centers. Look at those town centers of Persians, 4,800 HP. That's as many HP as a castle without any upgrades. You can see here 4,800. So finally, both players on the way to Imp. Nicov actually even advancing faster, and well, eco-wise it's not looking much worse for himself. He's not producing water though, so Stark is threatening to take that center back. What is Nicov going to go for? Oh, he's making archery range. He's going for the unique upgrade for Commander, and he wants to go for crossbows right away, which I like. Especially since Stark has so many spears out on the field, and then those spears won't be of too much use anymore. So what is his transition going to be? He just finished another barracks, but now he'll have. What is this barracks? And well, he doesn't know. He doesn't know that Nicov is going for commandering, right? So yeah, I spoke a little bit too soon. Saw more than he can see. Well, it's actually in his vision though. He has those outposts, he sees the ranges. So I presume he's going to transition into exactly what he's doing. He's making stables, beautiful house position as well, without even kidding. Because if you're building them back there, especially that close to the edge of the map, then you're not blocking too much farm space for yourself if you quickly have to drop some farms at some point. And you're also not running the risk of getting housed all too fast. Which is why also arena players love to do that. Nicov advanced to the Imperial Age. Stark still went for the pikeman upgrade, which is a reasonable choice. I like it actually. And for archery range crossbow production starting. And I'm presuming Nicov will... He has a spearman already out on the field. Queue up 5 in a short moment, make another couple extra barracks as he's doing, because of course only crossbows are not going to cut it. When Stark is transitioning into cavalry, which is one of the only things he can comfortably trade against those crossbows, then Nicov needs an answer to Cavalier. Since those crossbows, how much damage do they do? Cavalier gets 4 plus 2 pierce armor, which is 6, and they take 8 damage, so 2 damage per shot. If it's getting to paladins, then even only 1 damage per shot. I'm saying 2 because his crossbows are not fully upgraded. Once he gets chemistry, they take 2 damage, of course, then. Well, Nicov raining those mangonel shots onto that town center, doing more and more little damage with those crossbows. It's not too much, but it's giving him position. And transitioning into pikes as well, but his production is non-existent actually, his pikeman production. So, well, it's again a stage of the game where there's a lot to do. He has a huge wood economy as well, because of course those commander and crossbows cost a lot of wood. That's quite massive, 70 villagers on wood. I wonder if he even bought wood. Let's see the price. No, the wood price is still not efficient to buy wood. Well, of course he's going to run out of wood fairly fast with playing crossbows. But that won't even matter all too much if Stark isn't going to be able to recover that center. Especially since Nicov now has a castle there as well. He's not producing anything there either, but look at that, Stark Paladin upgrade on the way. While Nicov does still not have pikeman upgrade. So maybe he'll manage to steamroll it there. But Nicov will see that those town centers, they do have fletching. So he might even think, oh, start transitioning into crossbows and hence postponing his pikeman production. But look at him queuing up war elephants now in his castle. Finished another aggressive castle there. Is piling on more and more pressure. Paladin upgrade about to kick in. So is Stark going for the engagement right away? No, he doesn't have the numbers. His numbers of paladins are actually quite slim. So he should produce a couple more, I'd say, earlier. More aggressive barracks. Is he now aware what? Yeah, he saw the stables and Nicov is immediately going for the barracks. The question is this going to be in time? Probably yes. He has pikeman upgrade finished and immediately researching halberdier as well. And those halberdiers will just make those paladins melt. If he gets to enough numbers, that is, of course. And now with those crossbows he can of course just run in. If he loses a couple of crossbows, it's no problem. They just cost wood, so no need to worry. And Stark is going for the engagement. He only has 10 paladins though. Oh god, he's transitioning into them for such a long time already, while Nicov is basically outmassing him with halbs in no time. So looking darn grim for Stark at the moment. He has a decent villager count though, so resource-wise, I'm presuming he's going to recover relatively well. Needs a couple more houses. Also not really trying to take the water back. He has to make sure he's not getting pushed off of the map, because of course the water is not going to help too much if you just lose your entire base. How good of a choice is that by Nicov though? Probably not too bad, because that's exactly what he's forcing Stark to do. He forces Stark to keep investing into defending, while Stark is the one who has to attack. So beautiful decisions done by Nicov as well. That castle Sigorner 2 is desperately repairing with around 10 villagers, 2 traps raining down on it. Even a couple gates as well. He really wants to prevent those paladins to be able to engage against all of those siege units. And now Stark is looking for the fight. 25 paladins. Oh man, against 24 halberdiers, 5 monks. No, that's 4 monks. But Nikov's monk micro can easily grant him 4 conversions there as well. War elephant also being involved there, tanking a lot of damage. Of course he's not the lead, but still, that's the amount of damage he tanks can save probably like 6-7 halberdier lives. Now he's finally going for those cavalry upgrades as well, and his queues are also massive. Look at that. An average of like 7 halberdiers in each of his barracks, which is also quite massive. That's couple hundred resources per barracks as well in there. So those quote-unquote slow resources we can see there are quite deceptive. Now St4rk is heading for the center. He wants to prevent Nicov from taking all those golds. Not sure if he was aware of that castle a long time ago already though. And Nicov just going for a couple of quick walls, beautiful move. St4rk can't get inside there, the castle is firing down onto those paladins. And he's just never letting go of his position. Even though score-wise he's still behind for some reason. What's going on? Well, St4rk has the better KD, he's now going for his own trash bow. Are those going to be the game changer? Number-wise, it's looking slightly better there for him, but he doesn't have a single defense upgrade. Nicov doesn't have the defense upgrades as well, but he at least has one defense upgrade. Well, it takes time, but that's definitely a situation where a second blacksmith is worth it, in my opinion. Sure, it costs a lot of wood, but well, if you have meaty resources like that, especially if you're in Nikov's shoes, then you can go for that. And also, when you're defending, that's another argument why Nikov's play is so appropriate for this situation, even though he might lose his castle in the center, is because he constantly forces a couple of villagers of St4rk to relocate, while he never really, unless his forests run out or he doesn't have the auto reseed queue on, then only St4rk is going to, then only St4rk is going to be the one who will have to relocate, who will end up with a couple of idols, as we can see. Nicov 4 idols, St4rk a couple of moments ago, and he still is sitting on 20 plus idols, now even 30 idols where they all at. Well, all scattered around in his base, a couple of repairers who don't have a job anymore. Some sitting in the town center, which he had to save, gather points, not in position. Like, he's forced to run them around. That is really a lot. It's not too much of a problem if you have to run your army around a lot because they don't have to take resources, but well, if you relocate your economy, they just don't automatically start working again unless you assign them, right? Unless you reassign them. Nicov even going for a huge villager deletion, I think. At least that's what I heard. Can't see them though, so might have been wrong. Now here he deleted a couple of villagers. Well, St4rk, nice move. He's sneaking himself that gold income here. Nicov being aware of that, having his outposts there, going immediately for a couple of stables, cavaliers to take care of those gold miners. He doesn't want to allow St4rk having a chance of taking this game back. While he's pushing on, his reinforcements are just on point. He has the production going on, now paladins as well. Only producing paladins at the moment though, but he doesn't need anything else because those are the only really resource efficient units for him, and St4rk can't afford any answer to them. And that also means he won't stop this push anytime soon. Not too many resources left up there as well, as he's seeding another 15 farms, something around that. Quick walls onto that gold, he narrowly fails though, so can't save those villagers, trying to escape with a couple. And he's calling it, throwing the towel, so game 3. Going for Nicov as well, with a convincing performance, in the late game especially. In the early game, well, it could have been better, but it was still top-notch. So yeah, that's of course criticism on a very, very high level. Of course he still played better than 99.9% of players, but yeah, just a couple of small things which caught my attention there. Let's check the achievements. Oh, look at oh, that's actually a bug, so Those farms are finished. I thought he was about to reseed all those. Better KD, more buildings raised for his push, of course. Economy-wise, not too big of a discrepancy other than the gold. Like, I'd say the relics won Nicov the game for sure. Just him having an endless bank of gold to keep on producing gold, to keep on producing siege units, to switch very late into paladins. But his early push also not really consisted of gold units at all. It was just trading trash, crossbows, and pikes against and halberdiers against paladins. Technology, oh, it was later than 20 minutes and later than 9-minute feudal time for Stark. So overestimated the feudal time. I mean, can't even talk anymore. Overestimated the age up upgrade for the Persians and generally the TC bonus of 20% or 25% faster. Not completely sure. Let's take a look at the tech tree, how fast it works. 20% for the town centers and the docks of a bonus for the Persians. And the timeline as well. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. So that was game number 3. Hope to see you in game number 4 again, which is home. I'm gonna tell you next game whose home map this is going to be.